Wasn't that just beautiful? So today we're doing a bunch of portraits with our model, Julia.
Hi.
And today we're going to be using the 50mm 1.8 RF and the EF 100mm 2.8, which is by far my favorite lens of like all time. It's affordable, it's sharp, and it compresses the background. And of course blows out your background. So what more could you ask for? So the 50mm and this 100mm are pretty much the exact same lens, except for the fact that they have pretty much nothing in common other than they enable you to take photos. The 50mm is an RF and the 100mm 2.8 is an EF. So you're gonna need an adapter. Whew, almost died there, Julia. So you're gonna need an adapter to put it on any of this mirrorless canons that you're gonna wanna use. And it's not a problem. It still works really well, and it's not all that old of a lens. It even has that newer look that the RF glass has, which is kind of nice. It's like an intermediate. Whew, I'm gonna die doing this. But the 50mm is, and there's skiers. Man, there's a lot more to look out for today. So these two lenses pretty much do the exact same thing as far as making awesome portrait lenses, and just being able to take portraits. So we're gonna have a slip count on this, I think. Okay, so the 50mm gives you these awesome blown out backgrounds by virtue of having a really wide open f-stop and aperture. So it just blows out the background based on that. The 100mm blows out the background by virtue of being like super focused and being a 2.8, which is a very good lens aperture, and then also being a prime lens. Both of these are prime lenses, and prime lenses are really known for having a lot of extra bokeh in them. So we're gonna go and take some photos next to this rapid that is now approaching. Oh, the rapid looks really, really gross though. No, we can do it there, but it just looks really, really gross. It'll be fine. We'll figure out some place that looks beautiful with it. And the real big difference is that the 50mm allows you to get the environment that your subject is in a little bit more, and the 100mm allows you to select exactly what portion of the background or the backdrop you're going to be using to articulate what is going on in your image. Alright, the hill is over. I can do this again. Now, the big differences between these two lenses is that the 100mm has a lot more capabilities and functions that you can do with it, and it comes with image stabilization, which is really good for like the RP and the R that have no IBIS inside them. The next set of things that is very different with them is that the 100mm allows you to shoot macro photography and really, really get in there and get those fine details. It's the lens that I use for all of my macro and like jewelry and stuff like that, product photos. And it's like the 100mm is known for being an incredibly, incredibly sharp lens. Ooh, can you hear it?
Everything's frozen.
So I think we're gonna do our first photo here. And it's gonna be really cool. We're super excited. Everything's covered in snow here. We got the falls in the back. The falls kind of look a little bit like oil, but it's whatever. And I really hope this audio is coming through. And I forgot to mention, thank you Canon Finland for loaning me the RP that we're shooting on, the lens that we're shooting on, and a bunch of other lenses that I've been able to review because of them. Now, one of the things you have to be aware of while you're using the 100mm is you have to be significantly further back from your subject in order to take the same type of composition as the 50mm, which can be good and can be bad, but it depends on your situation. Okay, I forgot to bring the intermediate lens, so I don't have a good way to transfer it, keep it on the same camera. So now all the photos that are going to be with the 50mm are going to be on the R6, and all of them from the 100mm are going to be from the RP. Okay, so while Julia changes, or at least her boots anyways, the next biggest thing I would say is the f-stop that you can get out of these two different cameras, or lenses. So the 50mm for low light totally takes the cake because 2.8, while it is a very good low light aperture, 1.2 is like as wide open as it can be. It's so close to the widest open that it almost, instead of feeling like 3 times as much light is getting into your sensor, that it almost feels like 4 or 5 times more light, which is just ridiculous. You can shoot almost with like the worst tungsten lights in the room at f1.2 and it will still come out tack sharp if you nail the focus on the subject like you're supposed to. It's really crazy. However, the 100mm 2.8, yeah, it's good for low light, but it's not nearly as good, like not even the same. Now, if you're trying to decide which of these two lenses to go and pick up, the price is probably one of the biggest determinants because they're both super sharp, they both give you really nice portraits, and as of time of recording, you can pick up the 100mm 2.8 for about $600 on the secondhand market. I have some links down if you want to go check the current price for both these lenses on Amazon. And a final thing before I sign off on this video, the 50mm and the 100mm have very different autofocusing. I'm not going to call them problems, but just ways of going about it. And sometimes the 50mm, because it is at 1.8 and is so blown out, it does have problems finding where the focus is at when you first get started on it. But the 100mm also has this problem if you're too focused like far away from the subject in the background, and it'll get lost in its own bokeh sometimes. And you know, in general, if you're thinking about picking up these lenses, it should really be a consideration of which one is more for you. And then of course, if you can't afford the 50mm, then the 100mm is always an awesome option for pretty much the exact same quality with a little bit different look. So don't forget to check out the links down below, and once again, don't forget to subscribe to the channel for everything mirrorless Canon cameras so that you can rock your next photo shoot. Take care, and thank you so much for watching.